Hello and welcome to today's Coffee with Craig. This is where we get together each morning to talk about Second Amendment, talk about gun rights, talk about culture and politics, all surrounding the Second Amendment and firearms. So do me a favor, take a second, share this live feed with your folks. Share it with your Facebook friends and family. Go ahead and share it real quick so everybody can know that you are kicking it, having coffee with Craig. So let's get into today's topic. Here in California, we have some of the strictest gun laws in the country. I think everyone pretty much knows that. Obviously, those who are in places like New York, New Jersey, Hawaii would probably tend to disagree, and with rightful cause. But one of the other things that California tends to be the home of is Hollywood. That's right. The motion picture industry is really, really big here in California. One of the things that we find very interesting when it comes to firearms and firearms legislation is how easily it is for Hollywood to get exemptions to many of the firearms laws that are here in California, which raises the question, is it time to close the Hollywood Gun Show loophole? Now, give me a second, because I know what some of you are thinking, and I've heard this before. People are saying, well, but you know, guns and movies actually normalize guns, and they make them an acceptable part of the culture. And, you know, I would probably tend to go the exact opposite direction. I don't necessarily know that it normalizes guns, because, quite frankly, the way in which they are used quite often in Hollywood does not normalize guns, actually misrepresents what firearms are and the role that they actually play in our society. Now, that's not always the case, but that is often the case. But the thing that really gets me is how many of the Hollywood elites, the Hollywood actors, make their money, make their living utilizing firearms in their craft. And then at the same time, they want to come out against the Second Amendment. One particular example was a commercial that was done back in October, which dealt with both the SHARE Act and concealed carry reciprocity, where a number of Hollywood elites and some singers decided that they were going to get together and they were going to do a video telling folks that they need to come out against gun rights. I want to share that video with you, but I also wanted to let you know that I did a little editing of my own. And just tell me real quick, just let me know if you think you can pick out the edits that I put in place.
The mass shooting in Las Vegas has all of us grieving, scared, and angry.
Knowing what to do about it can be confusing. Here's one thing that can make a difference right now.
Right now, that only takes 5 minutes of your time.
All you have to do is text REJECT.
Text REJECT.
REJECT to 644-33.
It'll connect you to every town for gun safety.
Slate's little email.
You'll get a call right back from every town for gun safety, connecting you with your lawmaker and giving you guidelines on what to say.
In a moment, you'll be connected to your representative.
And don't be intimidated by making that call. I used to be in Congress. You're going to get voicemail. It's going to be easy, and it'll make a difference.
It can sometimes feel intimidating to make these calls, but it actually couldn't be easier.
Call your rep right now to reject NRA's radical agenda. Reply, call.
It can be this simple. Hi, my name is Jack Antonoff.
Cheryl Crow. Melissa McCarthy.
Anna DeVere Smith.
Adam Scott.
Catherine Hahn.
Samuel Harris.
Janelle Maloney.
Zessie Bates.
Cynthia Rowley.
Julianne Moore.
Moby.
Natalie Morales.
Laura Dern.
Sunday Adebingbe. I'm calling from
Brooklyn, New York.
Nashville.
New York City.
Pennsylvania.
Atwater Village.
Atlanta.
Los Angeles. I'm calling to urge you to oppose the SHARE Act.
I'm calling to urge you to oppose the SHARE Act, which would roll back gun silencer safety laws.
It could make mass shootings even more deadly.
That would make mass shootings even more deadly than they are already.
I also oppose concealed carry reciprocity legislation.
I oppose the concealed carry reciprocity legislation
that would gut our state's gun laws. I feel strongly that the time has come.
I feel really strongly that the time has come to reject the NRA's dangerous agenda.
And put the safety of all Americans first.
Put the safety of all Americans first. We should not make it easy for people with dangerous histories to buy silencers.
Concealed carry reciprocity will make our communities less safe.
Please protect us. Thank you.
see, that was a little bit scary, but not too scary. So I really recommend you try it. Feels good.
All right, so you guys kind of got the gist of what was going on there. My favorite part of the entire video was Julianne Moore sitting there talking about the dangerous people shouldn't have access to silencers. At the same time, she's standing there in the picture with the suppressor on her firearm. Now, let's get into a few issues. Number one, just besides the inaccuracies, like the fact that they say that, having a suppressor, they call it silencer, but a suppressor on your firearm would make mass shootings more deadly. You and I all know that that is a bunch of hooey. They do not actually make firearms silent. They suppress the sound, but even an AR-15, if fired through a suppressor, is still going to be as loud as a jackhammer. Now, last I checked, jackhammers are not silent, but we won't go there. We won't go there when we talk about the fact that concealed carry reciprocity does not overwrite local laws. And in fact, it's good in states where they have ability to conceal carry. So, no, it doesn't overwrite local laws. If a person who is convicted of a particular thing is still prohibited from carrying in that state, then guess what? They're still prohibited from carrying in that state. Period. Unless you're just going to say that nobody is allowed to carry in your state, well, then you've got a problem, because there is this thing called the right to bear arms. But like I said, so what's funny is, so first of all, they're going to put out a piece that is wholly inaccurate. But then at the same time, they are going to completely and utterly ignore their own positions, their own arguments, their own, how shall we say this? The fact that they get all of these exemptions when it comes to the law. And I'll just read off just a few of them for you. Like, for example, the possession, the provisions listed in section 16590 do not apply to any instrument or device which is possessed or used during the course of a motion picture, television, or video production or entertainment event. In essence, meaning that nothing in this particular section dealing with devices or firearms will apply to something that's being utilized in Hollywood. Now, when I speak of that, what am I speaking to? Well, let's take a look. What we're actually talking about then, at this case, are things like, background checks. Do you realize that people can get access to firearms with absolutely zero background check? First, let's start. Not only is there not a background check, there's no waiting period. So first, let's go with that. And why is there no waiting period? Well, as stated by the president of the American Entertainment Armories Association, Mr. Bilson, is in close contact with the MPAA to carve out exemptions such as far shortening the waiting period to get a hold of a firearm. It says here, armors cannot wait 10 days. They need it that day or the very next on set for the for the filming of a production. So in other words, what they're saying is that, hey, why should they have to wait? Why should we have to do a background check? We're not going to bother to do background checks because they don't do background checks on these individuals before they hand them the firearms. Otherwise, they might realize that some of their folks, like, let's see if I can think of anybody in particular. Mr. Mark Wahlberg is actually a convicted felon and is prohibited from owning or possessing a firearm. Oh, but don't worry, he's not the only one. Oh no, not him. Now, this is Isaiah Washington. I accidentally clicked on him, but I might as well just tell you what he had to say. What he had to say, and he's a big supporter of the Second Amendment, and he said, he told us you can see the hypocrisy in Hollywood when it comes to firearms. Because at the very same time they're out there saying we need to get rid of these firearms for everyday people, they're spending millions of dollars on armory budgets for these films. And why do they do that? They do it because, they know how important the Second Amendment is to everyday folk. But let's actually take a look at, who are some of the folks who are out there that we probably need to be doing background checks for? Folks like, Kiefer Sutherland, or Snoop Dogg, or Tom Sizemore. Now, these are all, I mean, some of them are actors that I really like. I like their shows, but let's be real. They are convicted felons, yet they have the ability to possess a firearm on a movie set. Right? So we're breaking the law, so we're making exemptions so that these folks can make millions of dollars, while at the same time their colleagues are advocating to have our rights taken away. I just don't think that's right. I honestly just do not believe that that is right. And so one of the things, that's the reason why we came out and we said, you know what, maybe we ought to consider whether or not we should be doing away with the Hollywood loophole. And it's not so much because we want to undo, or we want to make it so that we want to undo the influence that firearms can have on our culture. Because first of all, the reason why firearms are in movies is because they have a significant impact on our culture. Our media is a reflection of our society to a degree, but it's not the influencer. It's not just the influencer, but it's also a reflection. So, I think that it is vitally important that we make sure that those who make a living glorifying firearms not be the ones out there saying we need to be banning firearms, especially when you're going to do so making ignorant statements. Anyway, that's kind of my 2 cents. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Thank you for watching Coffee with Craig. We appreciate every time you guys tune in and every time you share our videos. Please make it a point to refer folks to the Firearms Policy Coalition. This is the home of the fight for civil rights. Have fun, take care, and stay free.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.